Guys, the Ducati's broken again. Before we get into this video, I just wanted to remind everybody, we are almost at 10,000 subscribers here for the channel, and that is huge. I never expected to be here. And as a thank you to you guys out there, I'm giving away a brand new Pack Talk Pro. Now, to enter, the rules are down in the description below. You have to be a channel member, and the drawing will take place exactly 7 days after we reach that 10,000 mark. I'll send out a notification to everybody. Again, become a channel member. You'll be entered to win this brand new Pack Talk Pro, celebrating that we are almost at 10,000 subscribers. So here's basically what happened. I was riding this bike over the weekend. I was doing some training actually with some friends. If you guys don't do this very often, any parking lot will do, but most places, at least most bigger cities, have a parking lot or somewhere marked out where a local MSF class or something like that does their training, and there's actually painted markings on the ground. Makes things a lot easier. We were just working on some just general bike handling skills, and everything was going great. Took it for a couple rides. You guys know I got it back recently from its whole debacle with the wheel bearing and getting basically rebuilt from the back end up, and it's been going great. Had no issues. Man, I miss this bike. It's truly a fantastic motorcycle. That said, late last night I was riding and I noticed the quick shifter stopped working. And then within about 5 or 10 minutes later, I got the chassis error. That little triangle with the exclamation point came on, and that worried me a little bit. It told me there was some electronic issue the bike noticed, and I didn't know what to do with it. Now, previously, I've had an issue with these ASV levers. There are 2 switches on the clutch lever itself. One to let the bike know when the clutch is all the way in, and one to let the bike know when the clutch is all the way out. If the clutch is not all the way out and the bike doesn't know about it, you will not have your quick shifter, you will not have your adaptive cruise. There's some stuff that just won't work, cylinder deactivation. That was my first thought. Maybe the little piece on the end of that lever popped off and it wasn't activating that sensor. Holding the lever straight out just to make sure that sensor was connected, did nothing. I was able to feel under and felt that piece was still there, and all of my other systems are still working. So that told me that the bike was fine with that particular sensor. Following my normal troubleshooting, the next thing I did was just power down the bike, give it a minute or so to fully power down, turned it back on, and when I did, in the bottom right corner, the little menu that tells you what all your settings are set to currently when you turn the bike on, well, the first one is DQS, or Ducati Quick Shifter, and for me, it told me error. Now that kind of left me at a loss. I wasn't quite sure where to go from there or what I could do myself from there. Obviously, if the bike detects an error and there's electronic error, short of a connection, a physical connection, there's some things that you just need the computer for, which I don't have. So I went with that, and I decided to take off the front sprocket cover on this bike. Now the front sprocket cover is basically hiding the entire channel where the wiring comes from the quick shifter up to where the quick shifter connects. So I figured I'd check that channel first just to see, since I did recently have a new sprocket put on, maybe something came disconnected. It could be just as simple as that, and that's what I was hoping for. So after removing the sprocket cover right up here, I found there was a little bit of trash, kind of some plastic wadding that was all around that sprocket, like the chain picked it up and just flung it in there. Thought that could have been it. Maybe some back pressure on the sprocket was enough to tell the bike that there's an issue and it wasn't allowing the quick shifter to work. I don't know, maybe this bike is too smart for its own good. Obviously, I was able to pretty quickly remove that out of there. Checked, everything else was pretty good. The actual connectors were still plugged in nice and tight, that I could tell. The wiring looked fine. I didn't see anything that was melted or otherwise destroyed or damaged. So that was kind of the end of what I could do. Well, luckily, I already had an appointment at my local Ducati dealer, Garcia Moto, to have my service light reset. Obviously, I do most of my own maintenance, and I had the oil change, air filter, I had all that stuff done for this bike before my Texas trip, and that was about when the service was due during that trip. And obviously, without the computer, I'm not able to clear that light, so the light came on a few days after I did that service, and then my whole wheel bearing debacle and bike being down for over a month happened, so it never got cleared. I was able to get into my local dealership, and luckily that appointment coincided with this failure, so I was able to get that addressed too, and it seems like what they found confirmed my fears. Now, when they plugged up the computer to this bike, obviously it was throwing an error. The computer was aware of a problem. It showed, indeed, there was a quick shifter sensor error. It was actually a plausibility error. And in looking through their system, it wasn't a full bulletin for it, but the software did show in the tips that likely the culprit was just a bad sensor. I won't say this is a common problem, but clearly this was a known problem from Ducati, that if this error happens, then it's a sensor failure. A new sensor has been ordered, and we've put a warranty request in through Ducati Everred, and we're waiting to see how that goes. Hopefully this time will be a lot smoother. I'd love to have a positive story to bring to you guys. So here are some of my thoughts. Obviously, I'm a little bit concerned with the frequency of failures I've had on this bike at this point. This is a 2022. It's not that old, but obviously it's out of the warranty period, and we all know why warranty periods are where they are, because they expect failures afterwards. This bike has had a hard but not insane life. It gets ridden hard, it gets ridden a lot, some long trips, a lot of full throttle pulls, maybe some small jumps, but no real big off-roading, no single track stuff, no racetrack stuff. So really, I don't expect it should have any major problem. Now, I will say, obviously you guys are aware, this bike has a lot of aftermarket accessories on it in one way or another, and as you start doing that, sometimes some failures come along with that, not directly related, but it seems like they just kind of all fall together. This bike from the beginning was kind of an issue. I have two different keys for it because the bags have a different key than the bike, just getting it in. So it's just kind of been an ordeal with this whole bike. Not to say I don't love it. Again, I have about 27,000 miles on it now. It has been, until these last 1,000 or so, truly fantastic. This is my second Multistrada. My first one, a 2015 DVT 1200, was absolutely fantastic. And I had that for about 8 years or so and 30,000 miles-ish. The Multistrada platform itself, I find absolutely fantastic. I don't want to take anything away from that. But now that we're seeing these failures, I do have concerns over all the vehicles that were built during those COVID times. It seems like we had a lot of just bad parts because the availabilities were bad. People were cutting corners and just trying to get the market going. So this, obviously being a 2022, was built kind of during that COVID time. I'm not totally surprised that I'm having some failures with it. So I've read your comments and talked with some of you on the channel about your quick shifter issues. Now, Ducati has, over several different iterations now, had some software updates where they've tweaked the software settings for the quick shifter itself and how it works with the bike. They noticed there was some damage happening initially with the bike under high RPMs with some of the delay settings. So it was tweaked a little bit, and now this is the latest version of software. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. Truly, it's just frustrating when these little failures happen. Something like this that just shouldn't fail. So here's what I want to hear your thoughts. How is your quick shifter working? There's been a lot of talk with all these updates and all these changes. Little things like chain tension can make a big deal. How does your quick shifter work? Have you experienced any issues? I'd love to hear anybody else that has had an issue where their quick shifter sensors had to be replaced on this or any bike, just to see how common this stuff really is. I'm at least hopeful that this bike will be back to 100% by Giro Alpino, the Ducati Multistrada event here in the US in the Appalachian Mountains this year, and I hope to see you guys there. So if you haven't already, make sure you've liked this video, make sure you subscribed. If you're interested in winning the brand new Pack Talk Pro, become a member, links down in the description below. I'll definitely report back to you guys when I find out if the warranty is covering this, if Everred is coming through, or if there's another fight on my hands. Fingers crossed it'll be smooth this time. Thanks for watching. We'll be back with an update soon. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. We'll catch you next time.